All right, I'm going to ask you guys a question.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what do you got? With you got a little penguin?
Penguin.
Penguin.
My office space is just filled with penguins.
Hilarious. All right, so Hoagie Dom put up a lobster roll that looks so delicious that today after the show, I decided to get a lobster roll. Now, I saw Vito with a lobster roll, didn't move me. I saw Chris with a lobster roll, didn't feel like I had to have one. And when I saw Hoagie Dom's homemade lobster roll, I go, I gotta have this. But then, Gail, he puts up a question: is a lobster roll a sandwich? And no one has ever brought that up before. What do you think?
I would say a lobster roll is 100% a sandwich.
Chris Stanley.
100%.
The lobster roll is not a sandwich. It's like a hot
Why?
dog, but it has lobster in it instead of the hot dog. It's in a separate category.
So you put it in a hot dog category is what you're saying.
It's
Here's
much
the thing.
closer to a hot dog.
Chris,
than a
It
sandwich.
certainly is not. It's not.
I understand that you have an idea, Chris, but you did a piss poor job of explaining this. I will say this for Chris, okay? And let an adult come in and say this. I believe this is true. I don't think that you are a sandwich, right? If your sandwich cannot be better with better bread. In other words, like a hot dog, if you used better bread with a lobster roll, you're not improving it. You do want a shitty, almost supermarket roll.
I don't think that this, and I see why you feel that way, and yet I don't think that that defines a sandwich. I think a
It does.
sandwich is ingredients on bread. Now, mind you, I don't mean it can't be condiments on bread, right? You can't have a butter sandwich. It has to be ingredients, be that meat, cheese, vegetable, some sort of topping, sure. But
All right,
I think
all
that
right,
if you
let-
have
let me ask you
ingredients
this.
on bread, you are a
Okay,
sandwich.
Can you make a spaghetti sandwich? No.
You could, but you
Can you-
shouldn't.
No, you can't do it. Nobody would even call it a spaghetti sandwich. They would just say, you've taken your garlic bread, you've, like a disgusting bastard, you've just put the spaghetti there because you don't want to
But
use
if you put it on a
utensils.
roll, 2 slices or in a roll,
Yeah.
and then you filled it with spaghetti and say, hey, I invented a spaghetti sandwich, I go, that is a gross sandwich. It's a sandwich, but I don't want to eat it.
I will say, no, it's not a sandwich. And we've talked about this with hamburgers and hot dogs before. They're not in the sandwich section. The reason why, you need a shitty fucking piece of bread for your hot dog or your hamburger. Yankee Stadium's hot dog is maybe the shittiest fucking piece of bread I've ever seen in my life. It's almost like they wrap it in Wonder Bread. It fucking sells like there's no fucking tomorrow. Now, I'll bring this up to you. Is peanut butter and jelly a sandwich?
Yes. In fact,
Okay.
if you would say its full name, I would say it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Here's why I would disagree with that. I think any man, you take a hard hat, all right? He's building a fucking skyscraper. If he opens up his lunchbox and there's peanut butter and jelly in there, it's not even going to fucking satisfy him. He's going to say to himself, I'm being treated like a fucking child. Now, any man would prefer a sandwich probably over any other food at lunchtime. Any other food. So I think if you get better bread, you end up ruining the thing. That means it's not a sandwich at all. And I'll say a lobster roll. You could easily call it a lobster bread bowl. Let me ask you that, Gail.
No.
Soup in a
No.
fucking bread bowl. I guess that's a sandwich now by
No,
what
it's
we're
not.
doing.
It's not. It's not a sandwich. It's a soup in a bread bowl. I mean, I think we can all make the difference that if you said, what peanut butter and jelly, what category would you put that in? That would be sandwich. I wouldn't put it in the same category as a weird soup bread bowl situation.
I would put
I
peanut butter
think-
jelly in the snack thing. It's a children's snack.
Maybe it's not a very fulfilling sandwich, and it's a sandwich for children, but it's a sandwich nonetheless. Just as a lobster roll is a sandwich.
How about this? Is a s'more a sandwich?
Sounds like it is. Sounds like a s'more is a sandwich.
I mean, I wouldn't call graham crackers bread. I would call those crackers. I think it's a weird dessert, but I guess it's mimicking a sandwich-like situation, but those aren't two slices of bread.
Vito, I notice you're staying very quiet about this, and you're Italian, and you used to be a very large kid.
Yes, even adult.
So this is yes. This is a time that actually works in your advantage here. Which side do you fall on this? With me and Chris or with Gail?
I'm with Gail. I think it's a sandwich.
Can I tell you what you are? You betrayed your gender. You are what I call a gender traitor.
I think it's a sandwich because just same way like a sausage and pepper is on a roll, that would be a sausage and pepper hero. I look a lobster roll, the same thing as like a sandwich.
First of all, we're all adults here. Let's not use the word fucking hero. Okay, that makes us sound like we're some fucking idiots from up in New England. Two, and this is fucking important. Yes, the sausage is a fucking sandwich. No one said that it wasn't. That definitely is. A hot dog is not. I don't know whether you've noticed the difference in taste.
But a hot dog and a hamburger, they're in their own weird category, and I'll give you that. They're like the platypus of sitting here trying to define sandwiches. But there's nothing that confuses me about a lobster roll being a sandwich. It's a sandwich.
Well,
it's a lobster sandwich.
No one ever calls it that. If someone went up and said,
what it
"Do you
is.
have any? Do you have any lobster sandwiches?" They would say this. I'm afraid you're at the wrong place, sir. And believe me, I will be questioning the person from DoorDash who brings this in, even though they've told me they don't want to see me personally. They just want to leave it outside.
This is an emergency.
Yeah, and I'll come out with my COVID face. All right, Vito.
I mean, I would say that not only do I feel like it's a sandwich, I would imagine that most people agree with me. And if you were to define lobster roll, if you would look it up in recipe books, I'm sure they would say it's a sandwich that has lobster or a lobster salad on it.
First of all, there's no recipe book that's just going to say just make fucking lobster and put it on a roll, because that's all that is. It's the bread itself.
I'm sure
is
that
just
there's recipe books with lobster rolls on it, and I'm sure they would call it a sandwich.
By the way, you haven't back there. If we were in a court of law, you just can't yell out "I'm sure" and not back it up. Two,
but you also
I
said
think,
that there wouldn't be. That's just as crazy to say there's no recipe books that have a lobster roll in it.
Gail, can I have an opportunity to talk here?
Yes.
Anyone who writes a fucking recipe book is a moron. They're not an expert.
That doesn't stand, Your Honor. No, that does not stand up in court.
Are you calling me Your Honor? That's really nice. I appreciate it. Vito,
Earl.
Today you just bought Chris a fucking mobile board because you turned on your gender, and that's, well, quite frankly, that's a traitor.
I didn't want to be a traitor. I just really believe that a lobster roll is a sandwich, an open-faced sandwich.
Mm-hmm. And guess what? If you saw Chris talking to another woman, you'd probably call his chick.
That's so fucked up.
You guys are all about guy code.
I don't even know what that means.
And I'm on sandwich code.
First of all, the guy from Guy Code is anti-Semite, and I'm not going to align myself with him at all. I am glad they took the brand from him. Chris, plug again, because this is the last day anybody can get in on this.
To be part of the virtual town hall with the cast of Hoops, the new Netflix animated series, that's with Ron Funches, Natasha Leggero, Jake Johnson. You can go to our Twitter at Bennington Show to see how to request free tickets, and then you'll also be able to ask a question. So go to our Twitter at Bennington Show. It's happening tomorrow at noon over Zoom.
Like it. Like it, Chris. Which one of those stars would you want to ask a question to?
I think I'd like to ask Natasha Leggero a question.
It better not be disgusting.
Oh, God. I got to go back to the drawing board then.
What would you ask her? How do you spell your name? Spell your name?
I think I'd ask her, like, what the experience was doing this voiceover work during COVID.
How do you know it took place during COVID?
I see. That's
you know how long it takes to do a fucking cartoon movie? Like years.
That's a great point.
Gail, you were involved in this kind of voiceover work. Do you have to do the voiceover before they make the animation?
A lot of times you're matching to animation.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
I'd say this is too hard.
But it also depends. Like sometimes what you do is you kind of lay out the tracks and then you kind of have to do fixes later. So you might have to do it, to match.
Gail, are you curious that the name Lobster Roll doesn't contain the word sandwich?
No.
Neither does hot dog.
I'm not concerned.
Neither
Because
cheeseburger.
neither does the word hoagie. Nobody says, you could say hoagie sandwich, but that would be weird.
Hoagie is above a sandwich, if you're going to be totally honest about it. I mean,
It might be top of the food chain, but it is in the sandwich world.
Calling a hoagie a sandwich would be like calling Shaq an infant.
You also wouldn't say like a Philly cheesesteak sandwich. You would just say a Philly cheesesteak. So it doesn't concern me that the word sandwich is not involved.
Tom from Connecticut wants to jump into this.
Bennington, how are you?
Good.
Ron, I would just like to say that it's the last time you are going to insult New England. We call them grinders and not, what'd you say, hoagies or...
by the way,
heroes. We don't use heroes in the Northeast.
Hold on, Tom. You know what insults me? That you're from Connecticut and consider yourself part of New England.
I agree with
instead of the tri-state area of New York City.
I will take that and run with it. Secondly, a grinder is a sandwich.
A grinder is what, a hot sandwich?
They can be cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Connecticut, they say grinder, I think, for both hot and cold.
Again, Connecticut, they don't even know who to fucking root for. They're closer to New York than they are to fucking Boston. And they just try to go back with who's ever winning at that second. And believe me, I attended Yale for lunch one day. And it was fucking very, very smart lunch. A lot of times you can just go to a place like Yale and walk around with a fucking, a bag with books in it and act like you're a fucking part of it. I fucking said to this young Asian girl, I'm so late for my class right now, I might not even go. She said, you know what she said to me? She said, you look like you're 38 years late for your fucking class.
What a dick.
I go, you want to do a new version of Kid Killer? And she goes, what's that? I said, I'm too scared to watch the fucking trailer. That's what it is. Gail, would you eat a lobster roll on rye bread?
I mean, I guess it wouldn't be a lobster roll then because it's the style of sandwich.
Interesting.
That's like saying, would you eat a hot dog roll? Like, no, it just changes it.
Because a hot dog roll is not for sandwiches. Now, to club with rye bread? Thank you. I would. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but would you eat it with
sandwich.
Wonder Bread?
If it was toasted, yes. It's actually preferable. Like all the boomers. Now, Vito, what makes you hate men and want to be like a girl's guy?
I didn't know that it was a girl's opinion. That it was a girl's stance.
Oh my God, I say nothing right. Have you picked up on this, Chris?
I hear it. It's ridiculous. I just want Gail, just get off Ron's back and just
Okay, don't
admit.
yell.
Oh,
Don't yell.
okay, Daddy, love me.
Okay, he does.
And I
He
do.
does.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was accurate.
Chris, you don't have to sound like you're ready to start a knife fight. We could just have a discussion.
It's just like when people are always saying that lobster rolls are sandwiches, it just sounds
Not a thing all these people
like
say.
it just sounds like fucking like nonsense talk that they're just trying to be contrarians. and I just know in my heart, and I think the people saying lobster rolls are sandwiches know in their hearts that they're wrong, and that the lobster roll is in the same category as a hot dog. They're in the same family.
I wish you
here we
wouldn't
go.
help with that.
No, Ron, you think that a lobster roll is a hot
No.
dog?
No.
That's what your best friend says.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying they're in the same general
You do.
area.
You said
of-
it a million times. And you know
Also-
what? Ron was so close to convincing me, but then I heard you say that a lobster roll is a hot dog.
She's just trying
Gail?
to use me against you, Rod.
It's working. Now, Gail, your wingman is also a moron. So, I mean, he started yelling out the word hero like it's fucking 1931, and he just
That's
found out
because he's a
Lindbergh
New
landed.
Yorker. He's a born and bred New Yorker, and that's what they say. They say hero. I don't know
At
why.
least
they
I'm
do.
not
Chris-
a lackey.
Chris has never said the word hero in his life. Never known.
He
That's right.
does say hero.
I've never said it, Gail. Don't you lie
Yes,
about
you
me.
have. That's bullshit. What do you say,
Right.
hoagie, like your daddy does?
I always say hoagie. Always, every time, forever.
This is such bullshit and totally made up.
No,
He's
no, it's
such a liar.
bullshit.
He
No,
will do
no.
anything to lie to be on Rod's side. Anything.
No.
So
you know what's
weird.
bullshit? You know what's bullshit and made up? You thinking that a fucking lobster roll is a sandwich. That's the fucking made up bullshit part. That's all
Gail.
crazy fucking talk.
Gail, here's the part that really hurts. You think that anyone who wants me as a dad must be stupid, and that, I mean, honestly,
I mean,
my
it's
heart's
forced
on
upon some of us.
my heart's on the floor right now. It hurts so much.
Pick that heart up.
Oh, God. Chris,
Oh,
you're
God.
so weird.
I think you're the weird one.
All right, listen. There is a way to decide this.
Oh,
and
God.
A friend of mine is a foodie, and he also takes pictures of signs and fallen trees.
I'm having this really strange feeling where I don't know if I want him to be for or against me. I think both options sound bad.
First of all, I guarantee you this: he's paying zero attention to this conversation. He's the type of guy who could come in and say Terry Bradshaw is a sandwich. Oh, I wish the kid killer would get Earl. Should I look? If you guys say don't bring him in, I won't bring him in. Chris, vote.
Bring him in. Let's see what he's got.
Fuck.
All right, Vito.
I have a good feeling about this, so Gail, I'm gonna roll the dice. I say bring him in.
Ron,
Gail?
one thing we can agree on is both of our
Yeah.
lackeys are nuts.
Yeah, I know. Both of
probably
our
gonna
lackeys
screw him.
really stink. I will tell you this. I want to see if Earl's got the balls to go against me and Chris. That's what I'm, and I know when you brought up the word contrarian before, all I thought was Earl. All I thought was Earl. First of all, I don't even know if he's ever even eaten a sandwich.
Nope.
He eats fucking tuna fish with a spoon.
He eats straight protein and fucking beans
He
and
puts
shit.
he puts ingredients between two potatoes.
He's gonna say that a lobster roll is just cabbage.
Oh man, we're talking ourselves out of bringing him in as the fucking swing vote here. He's our fucking Brett Kavanaugh. That's who he is. We don't know what the fuck is going to go on with this rapist. All right, Earl, are you there?
Yes, I am.
I know you haven't been paying attention, so I'm going to update you right now. The question would be, Earl, I know that you don't like radio, but this is called setting the table. So when you stop the broadcaster from setting the table, are you making good or bad radio?
Bad.
So why did you do it, Earl? Why did you do it? Now, Earl,
Because
everything depends upon this. Have you ever eaten a lobster roll?
Yes, I have.
That's just not true. We know
Fucking
it's
lie.
not
Hard to
true.
imagine that being true, but
Oh, you're
did
a
have
filthy
one.
liar.
I had one with you guys. We had one
You
I
did
had one in
not.
the studio.
No.
Nope.
I remember you you had a toothpick and you were picking around in a little bit, but you didn't finish it.
I ate it.
No, you didn't.
I ate it.
Just like the
I
steak.
ate it and I enjoyed it.
By the way, why didn't
Lying.
you talk? Why didn't you talk in the meeting today, Earl?
I didn't have anything to add or say to it. I mean, it just seemed to be a pretty cut and dry meeting, and then I just didn't have anything to say.
dry.
Now, why did every other person in the show talk during the cut and dry meeting?
Everyone was asked a question. I don't think I was asked a question, and then when I was asked a question, I made a brief statement and I moved on.
All right, what was your brief statement? Do you remember, Earl, in the meeting?
I think I was. It was something to do with my pictures and my pictures, and I said, I believe I said, yeah, I've been working on it.
Mm-hmm. Is that part of your job description? To work
No,
on pictures of signs?
I don't know why. I
and
don't know.
fallen trees. Well, we were trying to bring you into the meeting, Earl. I forget who said it, but they were trying to bring you into the meeting. And I heard you at one point use the term bois. Bois, you said.
Oh, God.
That was his opening line. All right, Earl. So the question is, and I want you to answer this honestly. I don't want you to think about how vindictive Chris can be at all, or how caring Vito and Gail can be. I want this to be your own opinion, okay? The question is going to be, is a lobster roll a sandwich?
A lobster roll is not a sandwich.
Okay, and your reasoning?
It just seems to be a standalone food, just like you said.
Oh, no.
Oh, God,
Oh,
you stole
no.
Fez's line.
Oh, boy.
It
Is
you asked me-
rich.
It's just like a
I
blueberry.
rest my case.
It's like a
This
blueberry.
is
And now,
Gail, I told you to roll the dice. I told you it was the right move.
It only makes me feel stronger in my statement. Almost, this is like a witness that has to be thrown out at this point.
Yeah,
This is not a
of
credible
course.
witness.
I think even me and Chris would agree to that, because it's to turn around and steal one of Fez's most famous fucking lines.
I know. Did you
How can you
realize
do
that
this,
you
Earl?
had stolen that line?
I
No.
have no idea. I had no idea. I'm being
Earl,
swear to God.
did you write up the Fez story that I sent you?
No, not yet.
Well, the show has been on for 43 minutes, so it won't happen then. I don't know what you've been so busy with, because I sent it to you an hour and a half ago. But Fez sent in a story, Chris, that said if you vape, you are more than 7 times more likely to get COVID.
Oh,
And-
Christ almighty. What?
Yeah. And I will tell you this, Fez was so happy and excited to share this news with me.
That's strange he'd be happy.
Well, he
Odd.
knows that you vape. So he thought it was funny that you're 7. And by the way, Chris doesn't just vape. He vapes like he's a steam train. You know what I mean? Like there's a steam engine, and it's his job to keep the train rolling down the track. I mean, it's just constant.
It's bad.
But you have been concerned, and you said the reason why you started this was to not get COVID, even though they're now saying, a lot of people are believing, that tobacco use will chase the COVID away.
So that means I might have to switch to cigarettes, I guess. God damn it. I don't know what the right thing to do is. Apparently, I guess it's either not smoke at all, which I don't think is on the table for me, or go back to smoking cigarettes.
Now, here's the thing. I sent this to Earl thinking he would want to write it up, and then he could, get a little even with Chris by laying this news on him.
Yeah.
Instead, he ignores it and then uses the term for a lobster roll, a standalone fruit, going out of his way to take one of Fez's worst fucking memories and bring it up. When, Earl, he's got to have another heart thing. As you know, he was not happy about it.
I had no idea that was one of the. I swear to God, with God,
No, come
You're
on.
lying.
You don't
You're
know
a fucking
that.
liar.
Why?
Everyone knows
I
that.
would never go out of my way to hurt Fezzy. I love Fezzy.
I
swear to God,
you just did it. You just did it. Are you saying you don't even understand the history of this show?
I'm not saying I understand. It just did not cross my mind at all. With God as my witness, I swear I did not
just stop
say that
Earl.
with the intention of hurting someone.
You just embarrass God right now. You just
What a joke.
Now I know that you're agnostic. I finally figured out.
No,
Earl does not believe.
Mm-mm. A believer wouldn't have said
100%
that.
believe.
There's no fucking way he didn't know that. No way.
I'm being. No, I did not.
This is just like that he didn't know what a lemon party was. It's obviously a lie.
Right.
Honestly, I didn't know what it was. Why would I know?
Because
why would I know that?
there was a clip of you seeing it.
Earl,
Yeah.
look, you
You've been
tried to
invited
back
to a lemon party
Yeah.
before. We all
and
know
you
that.
tried to back me up by saying you know what a lobster roll would fit, but now you just brought up two other things that you don't know. A fucking good defense lawyer would be picking you apart right now. You'd be stumbling, mumbling, bumbling, fumbling.
I have zero. Like, why would I have a memory of the lemon party in the back of my head? And why would I have that line? I would never do that.
Why did you lie about eating a lobster roll, Earl? We don't know why you lied.
We had them in the studio.
We did, yes. You didn't eat that day, and we all remembered it. We're like, what's wrong with Earl?
Yeah, we called you
like-
out on the air.
Yeah.
Chris and I split it. Chris and I split the extra lobster roll.
You thought there was banana in it. You thought there was banana in it, you said. You said
Another
you picked
lie.
up a taste of a banana.
I just didn't eat it. I didn't eat it.
You know what that
Chris's
lobster...
liking.
But, Earl, that lobster roll cost me $17.50, and you was just pushing it around with a toothpick. Finally,
That's
I'm
one
like,
expensive
boys,
sandwich.
split the fucking lobster. Yeah. By the way, no sandwich would cost $17.50 and be that small. Unless it was a gold sandwich. Chris, go ahead and plug. See if some people want to come to this town hall and ask questions. Great questions, not terrible questions.
It's the virtual town hall with the cast of Hoops from Netflix's new animated show. It's happening tomorrow at noon. Go to @Bennington Show on Twitter to see how to request free tickets, and then you might have a chance to ask a question of the cast, including Ron Funches, Natasha Leggero, Jake Johnson. That's @Bennington Show on Twitter for tickets to the virtual town hall.
Jake Johnson was in New Girl, and didn't you base everything, your whole look, Gail, on New Girl?
I have been accused,
Yeah.
but I don't think I did.
By some of your own family members when they were gone. You know who you look like? New Girl. Now I forget New Girl's name.
Zoe Deschanel.
That's it. But you know she must be a big star if people went and learned a name like Deschanel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It made me think of last night when all the Fox News anchors were struggling with the name Kamala. It's like,
Yeah.
you guys have had some time to learn it.
Yeah. Well, Tucker in particular. And then when they were calling him out that you're saying her name wrong, he said, look, it's not like she can't get criticism. Why is she above getting criticism? Saying her name incorrectly is not criticism.
It's not criticism.
Unless you mean it that way.
Unless you're doing it on purpose.
I went over Earl's house to pick him up. He and I are part of the same bowling league. And Earl shows up at the door with a wig on, going like this. It's me, Kamala. And I'm like, Earl, I know it's you. And stop it.
Oh, my God.
Weird.
He loves
I don't
lying.
know why he would do that.
Gail, by the way, Judy Gold in The Unmasked, I got her to say that drag is close to blackface and may be considered like blackface one day. And she goes, you're right. They dress up like women and then they try to make fun of like all the worst things that women do. And I sat there just smiling to myself, going, I can't wait till Gail hears this. And I should have asked her if a lobster roll was a sandwich.
I think that might be kind of belittling what is truly offensive about blackface, but I guess if you don't like drag or it hurts your feelings because for whatever reason, I get it.
Fez just sent me a text and it says this: Earl is trying to put me in an early grave. No offense, Fez, but I don't think it can be considered early anymore. It's just a grave.
That's just what we say when Earl sends you to the grave. It's an early grave.
Oh, I see. That's good. That's good. And then Earl will be just like, you want to go to an early grave? Keep fucking with me. I'll send you
cool
to an
that you-
early grave.
That's actually cool, Earl.
I know. Earl, you should be a boxer, and that should be your catchphrase. What would you like to say to Fez after you crushed him on the standalone fruit line?
I'm terribly sorry, Fez. I love Fez. Everybody knows I love Fezzy. And I would never
Nobody knows that. There's not a single person to say. But I'll ask you right now. You love Fez. When's the last time you contacted him? Have you contacted him once in 5 years? Because I'll tell you, Earl, he tells me never. And he says he's even texted you and tried to bring up football with you. And he says he gets nothing back. I told him that you don't have a phone. I said, well, Earl doesn't have a phone. I lied so you wouldn't be sending him to an early grave.
I didn't know he was sending me texts about football, and I'm terribly sorry about it. But again, I would never do anything to hurt Fezzy, ever.
You just did. Why don't you take responsibility for that? It's okay that you did.
I think I'm terribly sorry about it. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to hurt him. Who would want to hurt Fezzy?
Earl. That's who it would. Casey said, you can tell when Earl is lying because his voice gets all high-pitched. That is true.
That's your tell.
I get high-pitched when I'm clearly telling the truth, and I know I'm telling the truth, and everyone's calling me out on being a liar when I know I'm telling the truth.
Do you know the difference?
That's when I get really animated.
Animated? By what? Doing what? Cartoon voices?
No cartoon voices.
Earl doesn't know the difference between the truth and lies because he makes up a world in his own head. So it's like we can't fucking win because he's never going to fucking admit to it because he's made up his own bullshit fucking reality.
I'm going to ask you this, Earl. Now, you said that you're working on your pictures for Jim, right?
Yes.
What do you expect him to do with those?
I didn't remember the context on when it came up. It just came up, and I was like, I'm starting to sort through them. Like, there's a lot of them, but I didn't know what. I didn't even know the context of what it came up.
Earl,
with.
he is the vice president of a broadcasting company. There's no still pictures in their business plan. If he went into a meeting and said to his boss, good news, I got a guy working on pictures of signs and downed trees, they might throw him out.
This is true, but
Why wouldn't you tell him any of the radio ideas you've been working on?
Well, again, it was just like the left field question that came up, and I tried to answer it to my best of my ability. Now, I could have deflected better, but I could have deflected back to a radio conversation.
But what was the left field question?
Somehow it just came up, and I was asked about it, and I answered it.
I think it was a statement. I think it was, Jim, for some reason, Earl's been taking pictures of downed trees and signs. And then you said, I'm going through all of them and picking out the best ones.
Yes, again, I didn't bring it up. I reacted to it. And again, it was a bad reaction.
But wouldn't you come into a meeting with the boss and have something on your plate? Vito had stuff. Chris, Gail. Hell, I even had the lobster roll question for him.
That was great.
Yeah.
And I think I need to be a little bit more proactive and not so much reactive.
You should be both, actually.
I was not proactive.
Honestly, that would be the best case scenario, is if you were reactive to questions and proactive when you wanted to say things.
By the way, I saw that you let these two bullies bully you out of your writing style, too.
Well, I mean, I got so much flack for it, and just kept getting. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time to change up, and I did, and I hope I changed for the better.
No, you didn't. It's worse. You let Vito get in your kitchen. You know what that means, Earl?
What does it mean?
He gave you a brush back, and it's the only pitch you're looking for now. You're like, fuck, he's gonna hit me. He's gonna hit me. And then he lays one down in the outside corner of the plate, and you got a foot in the bucket.
No, I'm Frank Robinson. You brush me back, I dig in a little harder.
That's just not true, Earl. We know you.
You're lying again, goddammit.
If you digged in harder, my list would be higher than 168 today.
Yeah. And also, Earl, you're bringing up a guy from the 1960s where people used to throw about 78.5, 80 miles an hour. No one's digging in deep on a fucking guy chucking at him these days. Now, but I like old references. I do. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is what Vito's doing. You know what I mean? This is a game for him,
Yeah. And that was your catchphrase.
Yeah.
It was repetitive. But so was Bernie Mac saying, I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. And that always worked, right?
We loved it.
Great.
Earl, maybe you should get a drawing of you on your own jeans and come out on stage like that.
Please do that.
I'm not kidding you. Bernie Mac may be the funniest motherfucker who ever lived based on that alone. And he's not like he's a wacky comic. He fucking thought he looked good.
I can watch that set once a week and still laugh.
100%. I can watch anything Bernie Mac does. You got to find the Bernie Mac in you, that confidence, Earl, to walk out at the Apollo and fucking say, I ain't scared, you motherfuckers. And how did they react to him? Did they get mad? No, they're like, yeah, you got us. That's fucking great. That's the way you got to be with Vito and Chris.
Just got to say, I ain't scared of you, motherfuckers.
All right, that's his. You got to have your own way of doing that. You know what I mean? What would Earl's catchphrase be?
Well, for Chris, it would be back off that baker.
Oh, man, that's really
body shaming.
Now. Yeah.
Body shaming, man.
And what would Vito's be? You got to be faster, too.
No, I got to be faster. I was never good with comebacks. I was like, lay off me, Jim boy.
Oh, no. The insult is that I take care of my body. I didn't want anybody to know about that.
A little harder on Fat Baker.
Yeah, it's really mean. I feel pretty bad about myself. I bake. That's the good thing.
Is it, Chris? Why don't you bake up a lobster roll for everybody? Oh, that's right. You don't make hot dog rolls. Soft throwaway hot dog rolls. You know what? If I was eating a fucking lobster roll and they said, I just dropped the roll on the floor, I'd go, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to eat the lobster out of it anyway.
Chris, I don't even think fat baker's an insult because, like, a fat baker seems like a good thing. I'd rather have a fat baker than a skinny baker.
That's nice, Vito.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vito.
Like, I wouldn't want a fat doctor, but a fat baker. Like, yeah, give me one.
Dude, Pit Doc is listening, and you fucking turn around and say something like that.
Yeah, that's my doctor, dude.
He called you hideously overweight.
And that was just his opinion, and I trust him as my doctor. He's allowed
A
to
lot of
body
people
shame.
say that to doctors. Well, that's just your opinion.
Why would you try to hit Vito on something that he should be proud of, Earl?
Well, I don't want to use any ethnic slurs because that would just be wrong. And
Nobody asked you to.
What?
Nobody asked you to. I didn't ask you to insult the nationality. I said Vito.
Come on, you got to get the speed, the confidence.
You've
Yeah.
had a
Is
few
your
minutes
focus.
now to come up with one, and you still.
Even if you just start going, kick it, and we have to, the DJ has to hit the song.
That's so fucking good. Now kick it. That was planned. He was kicking.
Yeah.
Like, hey, DJ, don't go far away because I want to kick it. He didn't even say, "Can I kick it?"
No.
That's an easy answer for everybody. Yes, you can. Oh, Earl. I don't know what to tell you. Are you going to do dish today, Earl? Is that going to be your thing?
Ooh, you're going to do dish today?
Wait,
I
Earl,
hope not.
what is it about a guy who comes in once a week for a 15-minute bit and he's getting more on-air time every week than you?
Wow, I never thought about that, actually.
Well, Cashman is very good at what he does, and there's always a lot of entertainment stories that he can dive into. Me,
He finds those stories.
Me? More of a down tree guy. Oh, what jokes do you have for it? None. My caption is, look at this tree is down.
It's quite sad, actually.
Here's a sign someone made and then left. Earl, why didn't you say this when Vito made fun of your write-ups, right? Instead of saying, okay, I'll change, why wouldn't you said to Vito, hey, at least I do 'em, Jim boy?
Yeah.
You would have had that.
That's a good point.
Earl, I would have shut my fucking mouth if you said that. I'm honestly shaking right now that it even came up. You fucked up, man.
Earl, you could have had him.
Yeah.
You could have had him on the ropes.
Yeah, I missed that left hand, didn't I?
What's that mean? I missed that left hand.
I missed with my left. Because
Is this a masturbation thing?
No.
What do you mean by
Jacking.
that?
I
What do you
like,
mean,
if I was just throwing a left-handed, throwing like a left uppercut. I missed with the uppercut.
I thought you were Frank Robinson, the baseball player. Now suddenly you're a
You
guy.
can't punch anyone. It's against the rules.
Earl, you got to pick a fucking meme and stick to it. You're
Yeah.
Frank Robinson right now.
The greatest underrated player of all time, in my
The
opinion.
greatest underrated player. So now you're going back to the quarterback bit.
Oh, no.
It's
No, I'm not going back to the
infuriating.
quarterback.
You gotta have your own fucking stuff, Earl. First you're stealing from Fez, then you're stealing from me when you wouldn't even fucking. You said somehow Terry Bradshaw with his. I'm not even going to get into it.
Earl, you should have had this comeback. How can somebody be the greatest and underrated?
Right.
You really whiffed that.
We all would have shut our mouths.
Yeah, I would shut the fuck up.
Fuck, Earl, you're right.
But in the list, by the way, in the list of underrated people, you could be the greatest underrated. That makes sense.
Yeah, true. That's what he would have come back with. Then what would you have said, Earl?
Yeah, then what do you say to that, Earl?
You got to get a comeback for the comeback.
You know who I want you to shadow, Earl? And this is important. The only man that's ever been able to shut me down every Thanksgiving, a Big A. Big A takes the stage the way a bull takes the ring. You know what I mean? He comes out, he fucking centers himself, he looks at his cards, and he just nails me every Thanksgiving.
And you never see it coming.
And by the way, I've already said this, but we're going to the Hard Rock for Thanksgiving. I don't care how big the spike is, and we are going to pack that place. And nobody will be let in if they're wearing a mask.
What?
Oh, also we'll have a kissing booth open.
That's right. A male kissing booth. It'll be the first time for people who've never kissed another guy to make out with one.
This is great.
And Earl, you are in the booth.
Wait,
and
what?
the booth is going to be made of trees that have fallen down. They'll all be around you. And then we're going to let people come in and tag those trees. So it'll be everything you've been working on this past year.